Welcome to Fan for Racing Radio. I'm Fan for Racing Sharon, and joining me for today is Jay Huseman, and we are here for the Darlington review for the NASCAR Cup Series. Welcome to the show, Jay.
Thank you, Sharon. One of those, I guess, you got to be careful what you say or ask for. I didn't necessarily ask for it, but I said it was good to see Denny Hamlin win at Martinsville last weekend. I said it was good for the sport, and he comes back out and does it again. That is not necessarily what I asked for, but it was good to see and adds competition. We see that, and I do love that. So that comes along with it, I guess.
Yeah, we talked about it at the end of our last video. We might as well bring it up now. It's all about tire management at Darlington Raceway.
Most certainly. And I know there were some other things that played into that. You know, you got to look at the whole outcome of the race. There's a mid-race caution that kind of swapped things up. Drivers that were able to stay out and manage their tires, trying to make a move. But some that went to the back, had good cars, came back up. And then it's all about that 3-lap shootout when you get a green-white checkered.
For a minute, I thought Ryan Blaney was going to come up with a victory in a Ford at Darlington. And then Denny Hamlin had something to say about it. And in fact, it was a lightning fast pit stop, that netted Denny Hamlin his second consecutive victory. It was a perfectly executed overtime restart by Denny also, following a clutch final pit stop by his Joe Gibbs Racing crew, providing exactly the advantage the veteran needed to claim the trophy in Sunday's Goodyear 400 in Darlington, South Carolina at the Raceway. Hamlin took the race lead out of the pits during the final late race caution, then bested the field on the ensuing restart, pulling his number 11 Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota out front and ultimately to a 0.59 thousandths of a second victory over the day's most dominant drivers, namely one Hendrick Motorsports driver, William Byron. Now, Denny Hamlin got his second win of the year, his fifth at Darlington, and his 56th career victory. Byron dominated most of the race, leading 243 laps. He lost the lead for the first time of the day during a green flag pit stops, handing the top spot to Reddick. Reddick led the race until 4 laps to go. Then a caution came out after a spin by Larson, setting up that overtime finish. Everybody pitted. Hamlin came off pit road first and held the lead for the overtime finish. The fastest lap bonus did go to William Byron, and I think he took that fairly early in the race. William Byron also won the first and second stages of the race. There were 4 lead changes among 4 drivers and 8 cautions for 45 yellow flag laps. The race was 120.965 miles per hour. And the rookie battle in this one is not quite the same as it is in the Xfinity Series. But Shane Van Gisbergen came home with a 20th place finish. That was the highest finishing rookie of the race. So your thoughts there, Jay, about the top 10 finishers?
Well, I got a couple of thoughts, and this just pertains to the race winner, Denny Hamlin. Again, I've mentioned it several times when we talk about these green-white checkered overtime finishes, and we've seen a couple of them already this year. They can be exciting to watch, and you never know. So you got to stay till the finish. I'm sure Ryan Blaney, is wishing to finished a little bit earlier. But talk about the track Too Tough to Tame with that nickname. What did we have? 4 different leaders. You mentioned William Byron. I mean, that stat line alone says he won the race. Leading, it shows one time for 243 laps, as you mentioned. Got out front and just stayed out front. So that's 4 drivers that were out front, and they're top-notch drivers: William Byron, Denny Hamlin, Tyler Reddick, and Ryan Blaney. So I do feel it was Ryan Blaney's race to win. Give you some statistics. As I was coming home, they were talking about this with Ryan Blaney. You mentioned it. It was won on pit road. Overall, through the race, Blaney lost 19 spots on pit road, 3 spots lost in that final pit stop that set up the green, white checkered finish.
Man.
This is NASCAR's top level. I mean, you can't be doing that even with a good, fast car. Yeah, that's tough to overcome.
Yeah, it definitely is. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, well, and again, just running down I go all the way down to fifth of Denny Hamlin, William Byron, Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick, Ryan Blaney. Weekly race winners, championship contenders. And I'm not taking away from anybody else beyond that, or that isn't up there. Starting with sixth place, Chris Buescher. We know he can win races, win 3 in a row a couple years back. So again, I'm not knocking on him or any of these others, but so far, at least this season, the cream is rising to the top, as we like to say. You had Ross Chastain, Chase Elliott, and Ty Gibbs, and then Kyle Busch. And I'll hit those two, ninth and 10th. Ty Gibbs, ninth place finish. I hate to call it, but I got to call it like I see it. They ought to be dancing in the streets because that's as good as a victory for the season they have had so far. They made some personnel changes. So hopefully we see more of this. We know they're capable of it. And unfortunately, the same with Kyle Busch. They've been headed in a good direction with the RCR, kind of getting the ship pointed back in the right direction and slow progression. Started 8th, ran in that top 5 to 10th position. I know you mentioned it, one of the pit cycles, the way things came out, it looked like he might be in a position to capitalize on that and manage his tires and get a victory. We'll see now again how he goes going into Bristol, because that is a good track for him. That's the good side of it. Sharon, if you want to hit some of the rougher side of it, I know we got to talk about some that didn't have a good day.
Yeah, there aren't many, but there were a few people who did run into some problems. JJ Yaley, the first driver, was out 30 laps into the race. He had an issue with his brakes. You mentioned that Kyle Larson passed him, and that's the reason why. Kyle Larson actually had a suspension issue. He got in, of the 295 laps, he got in 122 laps. So he was out for a good part of the race, working on that car for that suspension issue. And that was after he had that spin that Jay and I talked about earlier. I think that was offline, but
just to fill fans in there, I believe it was lap 3 that he spun 4 out and went to the garage. Okay. So early on, and then didn't come back out and only finished the last 120 or 118 laps, I guess it would have been. But certainly not the day they wanted. But guess what? That'll be a hot topic.
Yes. Okay. Also, there's the situation for Josh Berry. He was out on lap 194. He had an accident that took him out of the race. So he had an early day as well. Only one other driver finished laps down, and that was Alex Bowman. He got 280 of the 297 laps in. Actually, there was more than that. There were 30 drivers, including John Hunter Nemechek, who finished all 297 laps of the race.
Well, and that continues a streak, I do believe, for John Hunter Nemechek with Legacy Motor Club of finishing on the lead lap. Granted, it was the last car on the lead lap, but that makes a difference. We're talking about 1 point for Kyle Larson that he came out to make sure he got John Hunter Nemechek there by being on the lead lap. If not, he could have been 3 or 4 spots back, and that's points you got to make up. Down in that group there, we talk about the Fords and just their overall struggle. Unfortunately, Brad Keselowski seems to be the poster child for that when it comes to a rough start. Just nothing seems to go right. Was having a decent run, I believe, at running on average anywhere from 8th to 15th in that neighborhood, and then still ending up with a 33rd place finish. The good news is RFK is a team. Ryan Preece and Chris Buescher looking real good on the season and getting some good finishes. And I'm sure Brad wants to be a part of that as a driver, but put on his owner hat, at least he can celebrate those things.
Yeah, exactly. Now, on that thought, though, Chris Buescher, of course, had that 6th place finish. Ryan Preece did qualify 2nd for this race. He was feeling pretty good about it. But his finish, he ended up finishing in 26th place. So I'm sure he's a little disappointed in that. He had high hopes for a better finish there. But the other driver, Joey Logano, is another driver we've been tracking this season. He ended up in 13th place. I thought at one time he was running up in the top 5, and I thought he might get his first top 5 of the season, but it was not meant to be. He ended up in 13th place.
Well, and this is a track where I really did think that maybe Ford would be able to get that victory, but we saw, first off, a Chevrolet of William Byron was the class, but it was the Toyotas of Joe Gibbs Racing and then a satellite team of 2311 with Tyler Reddick. Blaney, I mean, again, depends on how you want to look at it. I understand some fans are calling for the change to the final restarts and whatnot, and I think they're ridiculous, but they're entitled to their opinion on that. You know, Ryan Blaney had made the pass, would have, I think, won the race if it hadn't been for the late caution and that restart. But
and it seems
that's
like
part of it.
Happens to him all the time. He's leading the race, and there's a caution, and he ends up losing it. I don't know how many times it's happened.
He can go talk to Justin Allgaier from the Xfinity series. I think that Allgaier is the king of that when it comes to losing a race every which way you can in the Xfinity series.
So kind of disappointing. Let's go ahead and cover the points report, Jay.
All right. Well, and this is kind of interesting, and I'll run down it and then talk about some of the things that I see here. William Byron, again, just a solid, strong season so far. Only has 1 race win, but 8 stage points, is 49 points up over Denny Hamlin, who now with his 2nd victory has 12 stage points built up, or not stage points, playoff points, sorry. And Christopher Bell had the 3 victories early in the season and 1 stage win, has a total of 16 playoff points. Then you got Chase Elliott, Tyler Reddick, Kyle Larson in 6th spot, does have a win and 7 playoff points. Ryan Blaney has picked up 2 stage wins. Again, running good throughout the race, 2 stage wins and a lot of stage points, keeping him 7th in points, and does have 2 playoff points. Bubba Wallace also with 1 playoff point. Joey Logano, same story as Ryan Blaney, essentially. 2 stage wins for 2 playoff points. The stage finishes and points is what's keeping him here in the top 10. Alex Bowman is the 10th place. Then you got Chris Buescher, Ross Chastain, Ryan Preece, Chase Briscoe, Kyle Busch, and AJ Allmendinger listed as the top 16. However, where's he at? Mentioned a rough finish there for Josh Berry. That's his 2nd one, but he does have a victory, so he would actually push AJ Allmendinger out. The cut line is Kyle Busch at 177. AJ Allmendinger is 9 points back. 1 point behind that is Michael McDowell at 167. We keep talking about why these 1 points matter, and right there is one of them.
Yes.
The thing I wanted to point out here is kind of a shifting. I guess it was maybe 2 weeks ago that we were talking about Hendrick Motorsports.
Yes.
Technically, kind of had all 4 in the top 4, although there was a tiebreaker. So one of them was listed as 5th, essentially. But we went from that to now they're 1st, 4th, 6th, and 10th. It's been Joe Gibbs Racing. Denny Hamlin got up into 2nd in points now. Christopher Bell as well in there. And the other Toyota is Tyler Reddick. Ryan Blaney is the top Ford in 7th place right now. But just talking about these minimal points between Denny Hamlin and Christopher Bell, 3-point difference. Between Chase Elliott and Tyler Reddick, 2 points. And I don't see any ties, but between Bubba Wallace and Joey Logano, 1 point. Yeah, down then it goes, takes us to the 1 point difference between AJ Allmendinger and Michael McDowell.
And Briscoe and Kyle Busch.
Oh, yep, you're right. There's a 1 point gap there. I didn't see that one. Thank you. Talking about that, I was on Sirius XM with Dave Moody actually. When they got into the discussion, we'll have our own hot topics about that of Kyle Larson staying out and getting the 1 point by passing JJ Yaley. You want to talk about how important 1 point would be? Dave Moody's answer was, go ask Carl Edwards.
Yes. Carl Edwards knows very well how important that 1 point is.
1 point would have determined a championship. It was a tie. Tony Stewart got it based on number of wins over Carl Edwards.
Tony Stewart had not had those wins until he got into the chase. He won 5 of the 10 races of the chase. So it's really amazing.
And even with that, you're talking about winning half of the playoff races and ending in a tie with somebody tells you how strong Carl Edwards was. Yes. And again, I can only imagine the mental anguish of that, of knowing anywhere throughout those 10 races, 1 point.
1 point. That's enough for nightmares. Okay. Don't have any nightmares over 1 point. Go out and get as many points as you can get.
We'll see what I know you said. I don't think you had heard yet from Chris if he had any, but I guarantee you come 9 o'clock, another 2 hours, we'll have plenty to talk about.
Well, I will say this. I do want to give my condolences to the Hattori family. Shiggy Hattori did pass away over the weekend. He was involved in an accident that he succumbed to. And I kind of reposted an article. I got it up on Twitter, or X, I guess it's called now. I don't think I got it posted over at Facebook yet. But back in 2019, I had an honor to meet Shiggy Hattori and actually sit down and talk to him, as well as his driver, Max McLaughlin. I'll tell you, he was a wonderful person. And with Brett Moffitt, they won that championship in the Truck Series, which was a big accomplishment. When I was talking with him, he had brought over some pit crew from Japan, and they had been studying at the Technology Institute. I tell you, they were the crewing and being part of the pit crew for Max McLaughlin that weekend in July when we were at the track meeting Shiggy Hattori. And I'll tell you, he was a real gentleman. He was inspirational. I found him to be very inspirational. The fact that he was doing so much to help other people in the sport by bringing over the Japanese pit crew, allowing them time to learn at the Universal Technical Institute, and pitting on a live pit crew for Max McLaughlin. That was a very inspirational time. And although a few of them knew a little bit of English, you could tell that crew was so excited to be there and doing the work that they were doing. So my hat's off to Shiggy Hattori, and I think he'll be missed in our sport, especially if you think about the international flavor that he brought to it.
Most certainly, but and that extended throughout the entire team. As we were talking about that, I said I couldn't remember what racetrack it was. I think it was Iowa Speedway, because I think that was one of the first tracks that I got to go with you. And I did the interview with Max McLaughlin, and whatever arrangements, and I know he had a lot going on that weekend, they let us come out to the bus, because we actually are coach, the motor coach, that we actually did that interview out in the motor coach. I mean, so gracious and everything, of wanting to make sure that we got available and could get the interview. But happened, obviously, like I said, he had I think 2 or 3 races he had going on, jumping back and forth that weekend. So yeah, it was a great weekend, and he will be sorely missed. Unfortunate situation there with the car wreck. And I said, coming back is when I started to hear him talking about it on Sirius XM. I had to Google it because, yeah, I hadn't heard that yet. I know they said that it happened, I believe, on the 5th.
On the 5th, April
Yeah.
5th.
And that's one of those, I know the time of release thing is a lot of times they want to notify family and everything first. Well, some of that has to go back to Japan. So I think that's why it was kind of delayed in hearing about it now for us as fans, followers of the sport.
Yes. Anyway, I wanted to pay that tribute to him by reposting that article, and the time that I was able to spend personally with Shiki Hattori. I really value that time even more now. So
most certainly.
Okay, with that, we're finished with our review videos, but we still have our Hot Topic sound off tonight at 9 p.m. Central Time, 10 p.m. Eastern, and that would be 7 p.m. Pacific Time. Chris Crichton will join us on Hot Topics for our live stream. We are trying so hard to encourage people to participate in Hot Topics with us via the chat, the live chat that's available during the live stream. We are keeping an eye on that throughout the night so that we can respond to anyone who is wanting to interact with us throughout the live stream. So we encourage you to do that. If you do get involved there, we're likely to mention maybe some of your comments if you want to interact with us on the hot topics that we're discussing. So I don't have anything more, Jay, unless you do.
I would just echo that again of, as we always have here at Fan for Racing, want to get the broad scope of NASCAR from the fans as well. Just be respectful. But we can certainly have a discussion and even disagree. I joked about it. Chris and I disagreed on some things last week and the week before, but we're still friends. We just have a different viewpoint and opinion, and we would love to hear yours as well. So please do join us, and we encourage you to interact with us, please.
Yes, indeed. And then, of course, we want to thank you for watching. We really appreciate each and every one of you who are watching our videos. And if you so choose to also participate in our live stream tonight on Hot Topics. So with that, Jay, I guess we'll see you tonight on Hot Topics.
All right, we'll be there.
Okay, take care, everybody.